Hello for the third week in Lent, and using only the gospel, that long gospel, John 4:5 to 42. What do you really get out of this long gospel? The subtitle of this I like is this: Hey, mister, you ain't even got a bucket. The Samaritan woman. There's two things here. One is kinds of water, three kinds of water in the gospel. And the most important thing, at least from my viewpoint, is the attitude of Jesus. Well, water. With the Jewish people, there were sort of three kinds of water. One was bad water, dirty water, stagnant water. And this is, you don't want to drink it. And this water is not flowing water. The second kind of water is flowing water, fresh water, not that stagnant or something in a stinking swamp, but flowing water or living water. That's what they wanted, and so they would want cool, clear water going to the well, like the woman, the Samaritan woman, or Jesus, or flowing water, like the river water, spring water, flowing water. And then there was a third kind of water, and that was the water that Jesus was talking about. And he says, the water that leads to everlasting life. He says, the water I shall give you will become a spring of water welling up to eternal life. So it's sort of eternal water. Dirty, stagnant water, living water, or pure water, cool, clear water, or everlasting water. That's the setting of the gospel, the long gospel. But I think the most important part is Jesus and his attitude. His attitude toward this woman and his attitude really to everyone. His attitude, she was not a Jew, strike one. She was not a male, strike two. And she had 5 or 6 husbands, strike 3, and out. Not with Jesus. Let's set a scene from the well scene way 2,000 years ago, that Jesus is here at Pax Christi Church, and I'm not giving out communion, Father Larry Hehman, the priest of Jesus, but Jesus is giving out communion. And Jesus is right in this line where I am normally. And this same woman comes up to receive Holy Communion. What would Jesus do? Would she come up and say, "This is my body"? I think that's sort of an interesting question. What would Jesus do? Well, there's all kinds of possibilities. He could refuse her communion. He could give her communion. He could change his mind about what he preached about marriage and in the book of Genesis and Moses. He could say, "Get out of here." He could say, "Get out of this church." He could say, "You're excommunicated." He said, "You're living in sin, lady. And lady, you're going to hell." He could say many different things. What do you think Jesus would say? Well, I think Jesus would give her communion. I think Jesus would love her and accept her and talk to her exactly the way he did 2,000 years ago at the well. Oh, I think he would continue to teach about everlasting life and living water, eternal water. I think he would continue to love her and teach the ideals of what he said. But I think he would love her, accept her, and forgive her. Jesus taught all of those ideals then, and I think the church, maybe not in a good fashion or a better fashion the way Jesus did, but the church tries to teach those ideals too. But love is the best, and acceptance and forgiveness is the best and the guts. So Jesus, I think, would receive her here at Pax Christi, coming to communion, and continue to teach and love and accept. You know, the word Catholic means universal or all. And so the message that Jesus has is to the universal, is a universal message, and it is to all, each and every. Not just to a Jew, not even to a Samaritan in the gospel, but to all, to every person. I think Jesus would be a perfect Catholic. Catholic in the perfect sense that this message is to all. What do you think the message of Jesus Christ is? How do you think he would treat this woman today, here in this church? I think that's powerful. I think this long gospel says a lot about the attitude of Jesus, and I think he wants us to have the same attitude. Sometimes I wonder, what does it really mean to be Catholic? What is the ideal Catholicism? What is the real, practical Catholic? A long gospel like this, I think, calls us to a long thought process. Where am I with the message of Jesus the Christ?